This is huge as we just got some massive changes coming to this Phoenix Suns team in hopes to shake it up as we hear reports of Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic being sent to the bench. And this is one of Mike Budenholzer's new plans for the Suns to be able to shake things up in 2025 and get off to a red hot start, or possibly to force some other things as well. We'll be diving and discussing all of that and more on this episode of the Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. And like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic showing your love and support over on this channel. We recently dropped a video going over some Bradley Beal news today, and you guys have been absolutely smashing it over on there. So if you guys do enjoy the content, make sure to keep continuing hitting the like button and let us know what you think on this update revolving around the Suns starting lineup in the comment section down below. Without further ado, though, let's dive into it. Make sure to grab that snack. And like I said in the introduction, finally, we are going to see some changes with this Suns roster. And even though it is not a trade or anything like that, it is some much needed different starting lineup. As the Suns, as we have seen over the last couple of games, and like I broke down in the recent video, have lost 5 of their last 6 games and their last 4 since Christmas. And things are needed for changes, as not only has the team not been able to stay healthy, been able to function either on offense or defense for consecutive nights on both sides of the ball. But not only just that added up, the 3 star players haven't been able to click and work together as effectively as the Suns envisioned when they made this move. And we're going to be diving in and looking at the report. Came in from Chris B. Haynes, and we see from sources, in midst of a 4-game losing streak and tension in the locker room, Phoenix is expected to make drastic changes by removing Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic from the starting lineup beginning Monday at Philadelphia. And this is going to be effective immediately. Like I mentioned, the Suns take on the 76ers on Monday. Yusuf Nurkic's game where he comes back from suspension, and he is going to be serving that while coming off the bench. And I think this is absolutely fantastic for the Suns because it's going to give them some opportunities to see some different lineups and to get some different looks. Now, obviously, going off of that now with those 2 players being benched, who is going to obviously be coming into the start? Well, Chris Haynes let us know in that video that it will be Ryan Dunn and Mason Plumlee replacing those 2 key players. And we also let us know that there's frustration growing in this locker room, which is not good to hear as well. As we know, the Suns are sitting at 15 and 18 currently on the season, not even in the play-in. And players like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, who have been playing like they should be in the playoffs, winning gold medals with Team USA this offseason, this summer, desperately deserve to be in that playoff race and should be competing in there. So with them not being in this race, it is a little bit upsetting, and I could see why there is some frustration growing, maybe between them and obviously other players as well who have stepped up and delivered for this Suns team, possibly even what is with Coach Budenholzer as well, as he is looking to obviously win in Phoenix, being home there as well. But like I mentioned, this is huge for the Suns as we get to see. Obviously, the Suns have not been great with Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic, as they have been net negatives for this team, not only contractually, but also on the court this season. For the Suns with Bradley Beal, like we mentioned, they've been a top 10 net rating team with him off the court and a bottom 3 team in the NBA with him on the court. Not only that, is his contract also struggling as well. We also see from Evan Cedary that when Durant, Booker, and Bradley Beal share the court, the Suns are a below average team. 24th in offensive rating, 20th in defensive rating, and 24th in net rating. Not anything spectacular or anything to really write home about, specifically when you're paying 3 of these players around $150 million in total. When looking at Yusuf Nurkic and looking at how effective he is for the Suns, we can see that Yusuf Nurkic ranks in the bottom 5 in all of these categories in starting centers, as he is one of the worst contracts in the entire NBA. And looking at a stat from Evan Cedary from his article on Forbes talking about Yusuf Nurkic, we can see that on the court for the Suns, Yusuf Nurkic has dealt with a multitude of injuries, and that has led to the Suns being better with him off the court in 300 more minutes with him off the court. And this number has also increased since this article has been written. And they've had a better offensive rating by 4, a better defensive rating by 1, and actually have a close to not negative net rating with Yusuf Nurkic off the court, which is just absolutely crazy to see. And as we know with the Suns, both of these players are in tough contracts as well. With Bradley Beal, he's making $50 million this season. But added on top of that, is guaranteed $110 million over the next 2 years. And Yusuf Nurkic, added to the fact with a no trade clause, and also Yusuf Nurkic has $18 million this season and $19 million next season, which makes it incredibly difficult for the Suns to be able to move off these players. But the Suns are doing the right thing by benching them and giving themselves a new look and new opportunity to kind of shake things up with a different lineup. And if we want to look at this tweet, courtesy of Steven from PHNX Sports, we can see that this unit of these 5 players, including Dunn and Plumlee, inserted with Tyus, Booker, and Durant, has had a offensive rating of 121, a defensive rating of 86, and a net rating of 35.2. Now, granted, they've only spent around 14 minutes together, so it hasn't been a clear, obvious, this is the best lineup, but it is a noted thing that Budenholzer is realizing that this is one of the better lineups for the Suns team, and it is going to help out with the balance, having a player like Ryan Dunn as a 3 and D defender in this lineup alongside Booker. And that's ultimately what the Suns are realistically looking to figure out with going out and acquiring Jimmy Butler. Realistically, replacing that with Beal would be the equivalent of Ryan Dunn, and then having Ryan Dunn off the bench would just give you even more firepower for this Suns team. But like we've broken down with the Jimmy Butler stuff with the Phoenix Suns in previous videos, like we've talked about, it's been incredibly difficult for the Suns to move up Bradley Beal's contract, as the Miami Heat do not want Bradley Beal's contract, but with no teams really being interested in that, something could realistically happen. But I want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section regarding all of this news with these benches, because I think it is fantastic for the Suns. Like I mentioned, they have been struggling with both of these players in their starting lineup. They've been worse offensively, worse defensively, and both of these players have had injuries on the court that have struggled with the team, but off the court contractually have made it difficult for the Suns to be able to even trade them. So I think that honestly, by putting both of these players on the bench, it gives the Suns a new outlook, some more hope. Honestly, it is tough having Mason being that starting center, but as we all know, the Suns don't have another real true center. Obviously, with Oso Ighodaro being a little bit younger as a rookie, the Suns aren't going to magically throw him into that gauntlet, and I don't expect them to, but that is where the Suns are kind of at and have to really evaluate with this roster here now, looking at these 2 players and kind of figuring out how they can better this roster going into these next couple games. But I do want to bring up one last thing before we sign off is what could this push ultimately, as we see Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic getting benched, and it's raised a lot of speculation online on what this could mean for the Phoenix Suns. As we all know, Bradley Beal is one of those players making $50 million, and a player that Suns fans on our comment section, a player that I've personally have just had these discussions with as well before the season with CJ on if he should come off the bench when they sign Tyus Jones. And I ultimately had these discussions that he could have potentially come off the bench for this team to ultimately succeed. But then people brought up the fact that he's making $50 million, so it wouldn't make the most sense. Even though I ultimately thought that Bradley Beal should have came off the bench for this Phoenix Suns team, many people put the argument that him making $50 million argued the fact that he shouldn't come off the bench. And that was obviously a fair case. But obviously, looking at his numbers so far this season, only averaging around 17.8 points like we've broken down before in the past, not really stepping up and owning up to that $50 million, putting him off the bench and kind of sending him to this relegation might honestly want to trigger him to do that no trade clause and might open up an opportunity for the Suns to be able to get a move done. Maybe the frustration that Beal has by getting benched will ultimately consider him to want to move on from Phoenix, which ultimately would allow the Suns to get involved in some trade talks. And then it ultimately comes down to how willing is Matt Ishbia willing to go to push for an NBA championship, and how willing to sell some of these draft capital to go out and acquire a player like Jimmy Butler to put this team over the top. Like I said, Matt Ishbia wants this team to win. He wants his team to compete, and he will go out and try to get a player like Jimmy Butler. That's why the Suns are the most aggressive team in wanting to acquire a player like Jimmy Butler. They know that a player like Jimmy Butler is the perfect fit for Kevin Durant, for Devin Booker, but not only will that be a perfect fit will be beneficial for both the fans, as they will be happy to see the team competing with a better fit. But not only that, it will benefit Booker and Durant, as they will be happy seeing the Suns are still wanting to win and still wanting to compete with them, and allowing Durant to sign that extension, which will then also make the Suns fans go at ease. Ultimately, like I said, Ishbia is going to be aggressive. He is going to want to make moves, and I truly think that this is the first domino of effect. Like I said, there is frustration with this team in the organization as well in the locker room, and with Beal getting benched and Nurkic getting benched, this could ultimately bring out even more frustration from some of those players as well. So we're going to be diving in. There's going to be a lot of news coming around with this Phoenix Suns team. As like I said, it's been a lackluster season so far. 15-18 to start off the 2024-2025 season. Currently not sitting in the play-in at all. That is leaving fans frustrated, and front office and the team frustrated as well, to ultimately lead to some massive changes, hopefully coming. And first, starting off with some bench movings at this moment, and ultimately should lead to some trades for this Suns team. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys feel about all of this news revolving around Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic getting benched. Like I said, I'm absolutely ecstatic that it's happening. I think this is for the better of the Suns, even if Mason Plumlee and Ryan Dunn are not the best fits for this starting lineup. Change is definitely needed, and I think this is the first step for the Suns getting into some more competing in the West. But let me know what you guys ultimately think down below in the comment section. Like I said, they take on the Philadelphia 76ers tomorrow, so hopefully the Suns can get a nice rebound win with this new starting lineup. We'll have some news to cover and break all of that down, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.